Good morning to you both, hope you're well. Just going around the van, got it all plugged in and up and running just to make sure that we know what we're doing. Pretty much everything's almost the same as what you've got already, if I'm completely honest, but I'll run around it very quickly. On the outside, we have an external 240 volt power socket here. That's only usable when we are plugged into mains, okay? So when we've got mains power like we are at the moment. External gas barbecue point, so we can run a gas barbecue if you wish to outside the van, rather than taking out your gas bottles. Going into the front locker, room for 2 gas bottles as you've already got, so you can just transfer your current bottles over. You also have an Alco wheel lock in there as well, and a hitch lock, and also your winding handle and everything is in there as well. So just remember that when we're traveling, bottles switched off and our bottles strapped in as well. That's the important thing. 13-pin electric plugs, electrics for the van. Again, same as you've got already. We've also got ATC on the van as well. I'm not sure if you've got that, but that's an electronic braking system over and above your hitch head stabiliser that you've got at the front. Here's our Audi flue on the side of the van, so that will allow us to vent out our boiler when we're using it on gas. Our Aquaroll will sit outside here, and this drops into the barrel. This is a semi-rigid pipe on this. I'm not sure what you've got at the moment, but so I would suggest putting this into the barrel first and then plugging it into the side of the van. Only we might end up snapping the casing if we don't do that. So in the barrel, then plug it in, and the other way around if we're taking it out, pull it out and take it out. Battery is situated in there. You may wish to take the battery off the van you've got at the moment. I don't know. I'm not quite sure how good this battery is. I mean, it looks fairly new, but it's up to you what you want to do when you pick the van up. And you can see our mains lead going into there. Fridge vents on the side. Again, no difference that you would expect to have already. And our Thetford toilet cassette will be identical to what you've got at the moment. Our wastewater 2 outlets come from there, so that's where we would then put our waste master, just situated underneath the van, just here. Going around the back, you do have the fixings for a bike rack, a 2-day bike rack should you wish to. Just bear in mind, if you are going to do that, that you need to counteract that weight you're putting on the back of the van in the front, just to make sure that you're nice and balanced in regards to that. Manual engaged power touch motor mover. Again, very similar to what you've got at the moment, but if you need to ask about that when you pick the van up, we can show you how that operates, no problem at all. The door is pinned back on a magnet, okay, as you can see. Can be a bit hard to pull over sometimes, but Swifts are known for that. But yeah, just a bit of force. Some people put tape over it, excuse my fingers over the lens, which just desensitizes it slightly, but it doesn't make too much difference, to be honest. Right, coming into the van, I've got all the seats up and everything just so that we can see what we're doing. Main power supply unit is just here, okay. Again, one side is our 12 volt side of things here, so that's where all of our fuses are, and then all of our trip switches are over this side for our 240 volt side of things. Alright, and that's our main RCD situated in there. System shutdown button is here, so we can isolate the whole battery system from that button there. And these ones here, you can see illuminated, are when we're plugged into mains. This one's our heating and hot water, this one's our charger, so we do need to make sure they're pressed and illuminated as they are now, in order for our heating and our battery chargers to be working, which is of course what we want. Once we get to the van, we've turned on our main power supply unit. We're then going to go around and make sure all of our taps are shut. Okay, and then we're going to come and close our boiler drain valve, which is this one here. Okay, so we're just going to close that down. That's when we start pumping water in through our water pump, which is just here to fill up our boiler, which is just here. It's not going to drop down straight to ground, so make sure that's shut, make sure all of our taps are shut, and then we're ready to fill up our boiler. You would then come to our panel up here. So this is our main touchscreen panel, so this will be slightly different, I think, to what you've got already. In fact, what I shall do is just turn this off, and then we'll just open it up and you'll see exactly what's what. The on off button is just this button on the side there. You can see the little symbol just there. So come in here, turn this one on. It's like a little tablet, so really simple to use. Right up the top, it tells us our internal temperature, external, and our humidity, date, time, and battery status there as well. This one here is our water pump. So to turn the water pump on, we press that one. That will turn the water pump on. You can hear that running. I'm not going to leave that running because I haven't got this connected to water. Okay, but what we would do is we would turn our water pump on. We would then come and turn on our tap. Okay, that would then allow the pump to start running and picking up, filling up our boiler. Once we've got a nice steady flow of water coming through our tap, we can then shut it off and do the same again on the cold side as well. All right, when we've got a nice steady flow of water coming from both the hot and the cold, we know we've primed our system correctly. Okay, do the same in the kitchen, do the same in the bathroom. Going along with the controls here, this one here is our awning light. So that's just the light outside the door here. So light up our awning. We've got this one here which is just lighting, it says, so we can press that and you can see we've got two lighting sections here, so we can turn the lights on and off from in here. As you can see, we can dim the lights, so if I press the dimmer, we can dim those to whatever brightness we want either side, just there, or turn them all the way back up, or turn them off completely just by pressing the 100. 1 and 2. Okay. We've of course got light switches sort of all over the place really as well, so as you can see it's a question of just finding those, and we've got individual lights here as well. Alright, for our reading lights. Moving along, we go to our power section. So this just tells us what different things are doing, tells us the state of our leisure battery there, tells us what our solar panel is doing, and it would also tell us what our vehicle battery was doing as well if we were attached to that. Okay. So we can then go across here. What's this one do? We can also set the current for what site we're on. I wouldn't worry too much about this. You can see what we're getting in now is 3.9 amps. You can set limits depending on what site you're on, so you don't keep tripping your van out, but that's sort of advanced stuff really. I've never really bothered using that, to be quite honest. Okay, this we can use our heating from here as well, but I would just use the Audi panel. It's much simpler, but we can change our temperature and everything from in here. Okay, we can change it from electric or gas or whatever we want to do just by pressing different things and pressing our hot water on there as well. But again, I wouldn't use that. I would turn this panel on, and very similar to what you've got already is our temperature is at the top, our hot water is in the middle, so we've got off, on, and we've got boost, which is will sort of override the heating system for about 15 minutes, and then we'll drop back down to our normal hot, so that will heat it up to about 60 degrees. Then select what power I'm using, 1 kilowatt, 2 kilowatts or 3 kilowatts, and if I'm off grid and I'm using gas, I would just press the gas symbol there. But if you're on grid and you're plugged into mains, sort of 2 kilowatts will be absolutely fine. We want to set the temperature in our van to whatever we want it to be, and we want our hot water to be on. It's kind of simple as that really. But okay, you can override that from here, but to be honest with you, I think the Audi panel is much simpler from that regard. Press this one here. We've also got our radio, so up here you can see where it says mode. I can press that one there. I think it's because I've got cold fingers. There we go, and it's now on FM. Okay, and you can tune the radio to whatever you want to do. There is also DAB as well, and you've also got aux. So if you go into here, you can see you can plug your phone in just there. Okay, so you can listen to music from your phone. There are also settings to go into as well, of course. You can pair your phone to it. Set the time and date, screen brightness and all that sort of stuff, and how long it takes for the screen to time out when you're using it. But just a bit of playing around in here is the way forward. But the main things to worry about are our water pump and our lighting and our radio is kind of the main bits to use there. And then this is obviously our Audi panel over this side. When we finish using it, what you would do is turn the Audi panel off first and then turn off this panel, just so we don't cut a 12 volt feed to that panel. It's just a better way of doing it, so we don't get errors up on the screen. Going around the van, we've already looked in here. You can see that's where our console is for the radio. Our speakers and everything for that are up here. On-off switch for these lights is just there. The blinds and everything should be fairly similar. They're all cassette blinds and fly screens coming down the other way. Okay. 2 USB sockets at the front and and our 240 volt socket is there as well. So that is pretty much it for the lounge area. We'll talk about the fridge next. To turn the fridge on and off is this button here. Hold it down. That will turn the fridge on. The beauty of this fridge is we've got an auto setting, so it will just pick its preferred power source. So my suggestion would be just to leave it on that. You can change it using the toggle switch here between the different settings, so mains power, using the car, or using gas. Obviously that's alarming at me because I haven't got any gas on there at the moment. But to be honest with you, if you use auto, it knows it's plugged into mains, so it will just use the mains. If you weren't plugged into mains, it would light it on gas, and when you plug into the car, it will change it to the car. Change the temperature of the fridge by pressing the thermometer button here. I would not always have it on maximum. It does get very cold there, and also switches between fuels better when it's not. So that is our fridge and freezer. 3 burner gas hob, an electric hot plate. Again, hot plate can be used when we're plugged into mains only. If we're not plugged into mains, that's null and void, but we do have our 3 gas burners there if we need them, of course. But if you're plugged into mains, you've already paid your electric, so you might as well use that. Microwave is in here. I'm going to take the microwave plate out. Take this out when you're travelling. I'll put it in your book pack just here. That way it doesn't end up smashed on the floor and we don't dent everything. This is the charge controller for the solar panel on the roof. Again, nothing you really need to do about it. You can see we've got a light that tells us it's flashing green, which means it's doing something. Not much sun today, but that is what that does. Into the bathroom area. I might teach you to use the toilet again. You've got your flush at the top and you've got your gate opener at the bottom. Very exactly the same as what you've got already. Light switches for in here are just on the side. They like to hide those. And obviously our shower here as well. Held back by this catch here at the moment, so when you're travelling, just make sure that that catch is on so we don't bounce around all over the place. And again, make sure all of our doors are shut so they're not going around bouncing all over the place. The same with these ones as well, these sliding doors. You can see they slide, but they also have a little catch here that we can lock those in place. So they bounce around a lot when you're on the road, so you don't want those going backwards and forwards and falling off of their rails. So that's quite an important thing to do as well. In terms of in here, our Aldi header tank is in there. Nothing you need to worry about that. It is just there as your header tank for your fluids. Light switches in here and our plug sockets, and we also have a TV point on the wall here as well. The bed is of course on gas struts, and under there you can see your carpets, and your spare wheel is also located under there as well. Okay, radiators are situated in here and in there, also in the lounge as well, so you've got plenty of radiators and heating going on. So that's kind of it for the main controls. So we know how to prime our system, we know how our fridge works. Obviously when we finish using the caravan, we want to do things the other way round. So what I would do is I would come in here and I would turn off my Audi panel. I would turn off my main panel here by holding it down. If you're leaving it for a period of time, I would then come and switch this off. That will then isolate the battery to everything. Okay, open my boiler drain valve, which will drain our boiler. Leave all of our taps open in between hot and cold, which allows the air to flow through the system. And if we get any freezing weather, it will allow the water to go somewhere rather than damage our taps and all of our pipe work. Then go and unplug everything from outside, take your levelers up, and you are ready to hit the road. So to be fair, there's not that much difference between what you've got already, so a lot of it should make a lot of sense. We are on the end of the phone if you need us as well, so if you're struggling with anything, just pick the phone up, or if you need to know anything else, please do ask. Yeah, so we look forward to, well, I won't see you on Saturday, but Chris and Adrian will see you on Saturday. Thanks for watching.